Nawala. Ano ba yun?
Good morning to everyone. Thank you for attending this turnover ceremony despite the inclement weather. Director Jet Adriano asked me to explain the significance of this donation of the map. I have what I call the 4 Maps project. This project involves the collection of original prints of 4 maps that will establish Philippine sovereignty over Scarborough Shoal and the islands of the Kalayaan Island Group. So that these 4 maps can be displayed in the permanent gallery of the National Library, and when school children come here, they will look at the map, and by just looking at the map, they will know that Scarborough Shoal and the islands of the Kalayaan Island Group form part of Philippine territory under Philippine sovereignty. So that is the purpose of the 4 Maps project. And the 4 maps are, first, of course, the 1734 Murillo Velarde map. That's the mother of all Philippine maps. It was Anne-Marie who informed me that Lloyd's of London is auctioning off the 1734 Murillo Velarde map. And I asked the museums, private museums, if they could bid for the map, and they said they were not interested. Of course, the public, the government museums would not buy it because they did not have a budget for that. You have to have a budget before you can buy. So I had to turn to my good friend Mel Velarde, and I said, Mel, you are a Velarde. You must be a descendant of Father Pedro Murillo Velarde, the author of that map. And he said, why don't you bid for the map? Don't bid more than 5 million pesos, so that will be too much. And if you win, I want you to sell it to the government at cost. Don't make money out of it, because I want the map to be exhibited in the National Library so that school children can take a look at the map. And he said, okay, no problem. And on the day of the bidding, he was in Manila. He was bidding by phone. The auction was in London. And it happened to be the birthday of his mother, and he was drinking a lot of wine, good wine. And so he kept on, every time there was a bid, he would tap it and beyond 5 million until it reached 12 million, and he finally became the highest bidder, and we got it for 12 million. And so I said, okay, great. And I talked to the government National Museum if they could buy it. Of course, I understood that they have to ask for a budget for that, but it took time. And Mel called me up one day and said, I won't sell it anymore. So my heart sank. But he said, I will just donate it to the government. So finally, that Pedro Murillo Velarde map, the mother of all Philippine maps, 1734, is here in the permanent gallery of the National Library. So you can see it later. Thank you, Mel. So we're now in the second map. The second map is the 1808 Carta General del Archipelago Filipino. It's a very unique map, 2 parts. The upper part is the Luzon area, and the lower part is Visayas and Mindanao. It was made by the Dirección Hidrografía of Spain, the charting agency of Spain. They called maps at the time charts. So, and it's very unique because in Scarborough Shoal, you can find depth soundings in Scarborough Shoal. All the rest of the islands of the Philippines have no depth soundings, only Scarborough Shoal. Why? Because in 1792, Alessandro Malaspina came to Manila. He was the head of the Spanish scientific expedition that went around the world to collect specimens of flora and fauna in the Spanish possessions, Spanish territories, and to chart the Spanish waters in their overseas territories. And when he came to Manila, he went to Scarborough Shoal. Why? Because 44 years earlier, a British deep-river ship called Scarborough ran aground on Scarborough Shoal, on the rocks of Scarborough. And European cartographers renamed the shoal Scarborough Shoal. So it was a very famous shoal. So Malaspina went there and made the first hydrographic survey. How did he do it? He had a lead pipe, and attached to the lead pipe was a thin rope. He would drop the lead pipe and measure the depths of the waters around the rocks to guide navigators so that they would follow Scarborough Shoal running aground in those rocks. So it so happened that one of the officers, he was probably the officers who made that map of Scarborough, the chart of the waters around Scarborough Shoal. That map is in the Museo de Madrid. It was probably made by a fellow named Jose Espinosa, who became the head of the Dirección de Hidrografía that made the 1808 map. So when he became the director of the map charting agency, he inserted the hydrographic survey of Malaspina, and it's very unique because it's the only geologic feature that has a depth sounding. Not the rest of the country has no depth sounding. Of course, China didn't probably know that there was such a shoal called Scarborough at that time. So that's the second map that we want to put here in the permanent gallery. I was able to acquire the first part of the map. The second part, we're still looking for it. The third map is the 1875 Carta General del Retrato Filipino. It's the most detailed and most complete map of Philippine territory during the Spanish regime because the author of that map, Claudio Montero, headed the Philippine Hydrographic Commission during the Spanish regime and had two ships here in the Philippines that did hydrographic survey all over the country. And that map has hydrographic survey, depth soundings of many islands, including the entire Spratlys. So in the Spratlys area in that map, you will see Tito, that's Pag-asa, you will see Loita, that's Kota, those are the two islands that we possess, and there's Ituapa, the largest island, presently possessed by Taiwan. So it's the most complete and most detailed map of Philippine territory during the Spanish regime. And that map, we still don't have that. And it's like we have a house and lot, but you don't have the title, the Torres title to your house and lot. And that is the equivalent of the Carta General, that's like our Torres title. So we are on the hand of this map, and that's this second map that we have to still acquire. And then we have the last map, the fourth map. This is the 1898 map of the Treaty of Paris. Very few people know that the Treaty of Paris had a map attached to it. So when the commissioners, American and Spanish commissioners, signed the Treaty of Paris, they were looking at this map. And when the U.S. Senate ratified the treaty, they were looking at this map. And if you look at this map, you will see that portions, large areas of the Spratlys form part of Philippine territory. The Treaty of Paris lines turn sharply to the left to include large areas of the Spratlys. But the Treaty of Paris also had the coordinates of the Treaty of Paris lines, longitude, latitude, and if you connect those lines, the Treaty of Paris lines don't turn sharply to the left to include the Spratlys, it slants downwards to exclude the Spratlys, and turns sharply to the right to exclude Cagayan de Sulu and Sibuto. So there was a variance between the text of the Treaty of Paris and the map. And so when the Americans arrived here after signing the Treaty of Paris, they found out that the Spanish garrisons in Cagayan de Sulu and Sibuto refused to vacate. The Spanish garrison said, we're not part of the cession because if you connect the geographical coordinates, we're outside the lines of the Treaty of Paris. We were not ceded in the Treaty of Paris. So the Americans had to go back to the Spaniards and said, look, our intention was that all territorial sovereignty of Spain in that part of the Western Pacific should be conveyed, should be transferred to the United States. That's in the communication, note verbal of the U.S. to the Spanish ambassador. That's in the book of Professor J. Bacal, book on the Treaty of Paris. The Spaniards replied, you dictated to us, you won the war, you dictated to us the terms of the treaty, you dictated to us the geographical coordinates, and what are excluded from those geographical coordinates remain under the sovereignty of Spain. So there was this acrimonious exchange of notes, all documented in the book of Professor J. Bacal. And finally, the Americans said, okay, to cut this discussion short, we will sign another treaty. We will pay you an additional $50,000 to clarify that Spain ceded to us everything, the entire Philippine archipelago, whether lying within or outside the lines. But the Spaniards said, 50,000, that's too little. And the Americans doubled it to 100,000, and finally, the Spaniards said, okay, we will sign a second treaty. So that second treaty says, Spain also ceded to the U.S. any and all islands belonging to the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines of the Treaty of Paris. So the Americans realized that that map was not complete. It excluded large areas of the Spanish. So they actually discarded this map. So the Treaty of Paris was signed on December 10, 1898. Immediately the following year, the U.S. adopted the 1875 Carta General of Spain as their map of Philippine territory. So the 1875 map of Spain, the most detailed and complete map of Spain, was adopted by the U.S. 4 times, in 1899, 1900, 1901, and 1902, as the map of Philippine territory under the Spanish regime. So I said, we have to get something more to cement our claim that this is the map of Philippine territory during the Spanish and American regime. So I said there was that famous arbitration, the Islas Palmas arbitration between the U.S. and the Netherlands over the island of Palmas, just opposite Sarangani Island in Mindanao. Spain discovered the island, but Spain never returned to the island. It was the Dutch that went there and signed a treaty with the natives. The natives pledged allegiance to the Dutch, flew the Dutch flag, and one day, Governor General Leonard Wood went to Mindanao for the steamship, and he saw the Dutch flag flying on the island of Islas Palmas, and he said, how come there's a Dutch flag there that's part of Philippine territory under the 1875 map? And so there was an arbitration between the U.S. and the Netherlands by Max Huber, the sole arbiter. And in that arbitration, the U.S. submitted a memorandum. And in that memorandum, the U.S. said, this 1875 map is an official map of Philippine territory during the Spanish regime and during the American regime. There you are. That was the phrase I was looking at. It was J. Matumbaka who gave me that memorandum because I called him up, okay, I cannot find that memorandum of the U.S. in the arbitration case. He said, I have a copy of that memorandum. I went to the U.S. National Archives in Maryland. I took pictures of that memorandum, and here it is. So the U.S. has stated in its memorandum that the 1875 Carta General del Archipelago Filipino is an official map of Philippine territory during the American regime and during the Spanish regime. So there are now 4 maps. And all of these 4 maps, if you put those maps in the permanent gallery here, will tell the school children that Scarborough Shoal and the Spratlys are part of Philippine territory because they are in the 1875 Carta General. The value of this map is it triggered the Treaty of Washington. Because of the defects of this map, they had to make a second treaty, the Treaty of Washington. And in the Treaty of Washington, it's very clear. Spain also ceded to the U.S. any and all islands of the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines of the Treaty of Paris. And where is the map or document that shows islands of the Philippine archipelago lying outside the lines? The Treaty of Paris is the 1875 Carta General, which we still have not acquired. It's the map that's been missing, so maybe we can put there a high resolution copy, because if you go to the Ministry of Defense of Spain, you can download for free a high resolution copy of the 1875 Carta General. And this is the map I've been giving to the DND, DFA, DepEd, Coast Guard. I've given them also, and the UP Law Center, and also UAB. I will give that next week. So there you are. We have a mission. We will look for the originals of two more maps. The 1808, the second part, and the 1875 map. So Director Jetta Diana asked me to explain the significance of this map, and that's the significance of this map. So thank you for your patience and kind attention. Thank you for coming here. We have a copy of the 1898 map, a high resolution copy which we will give to everyone. And I'll see you for lunch at Rizal Park. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Justice Antonio T. Carpio. Big round of applause po muli. I guess we were treated with so much information, no, about our national territory. And of course, ito pong mga mapa na nakikita po natin ngayon. And eventually, ito po ngayon na nasa harapan po ninyo ay magiging kabilang na sa mga koleksyon ng pambansang aklatan ng Pilipinas na tiyak po natin ay higit pa pong mas pahahalagahan ng ating mga kababayan ang usapin po natin tungkol sa ating pambansang teritoryo. Maraming salamat po muli, Justice Carpio and Ma'am Carpio. Samantala, ating naman pong pakinggan ang mensahe ng pagtanggap ng donasyong ito mula sa punong pantugot ng pambansang aklatan ng Pilipinas. Ating pong palampakan, Director Cesar Gilbert U. Adrian.